She's freakeristic. Last night, when I walked into the joint, everyone felt sweat. Oh, so wet. Walked into the crowd, nudged in with the freaks. Everyone doing the dance. I even saw the freak of the week. She was wearing those red shoes. Everybody replied, she's hot. And as she wiggled to the rhythm of a beat, everybody fell apart. All of a sudden, she turned her head, eyes full of flame. I was hypnotized, mesmerized. I didn't even know my name. She was the finest thing I ever seen. Fresh as she could be, freaking lovely thing. Turn on me. She's freakeristic. She's freakeristic. She took me by the hand, led me to the back. Almost had a heart attack. She took me to a dark space. In the place we kinda made our own space. She grabbed me around my neck and pulled my head to hers. That's when I felt my blood pressure surges. And let me take this fancy home where we can be all alone and turn it out. Cause you're freakeristic. She was the finest thing I ever seen. Fresh as she could be, freaking lovely thing. Turn on me. She's freakeristic. She's a freak. She's freakeristic. She's a freakeristic thing. She's freakeristic. Hypnotized and mesmerized. She's freakeristic. Love the way she moves. She was the finest thing I ever seen. Fresh as she could be, freaking lovely thing. Turn on me. She's freakeristic. Really on my mind. She's freakeristic. Sweet tender thing. She's freakeristic. She's yeah, she's a freakeristic. Ooh, she's a freak of the freak. She's freakeristic. She's freakeristic. She's freakeristic. She's she's free.
Yo, this is Gary Little G Jenkins, lead singer from the multi-platinum R&B group Silk, and you're listening to KBOB 89.9 FM.
Please, Mr. Groove, won't you come back home? Won't you come back? Please, won't you come back? Won't you come back? Please, won't you come back? Please, won't you come back? Please, won't you come back?
I believe I'm saying, hey, hey, hey! I believe I'm saying, hey, hey, hey!
Peace and Black Power. This is the Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. Umar Johnson. Whenever I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I'm listening to The Bobby Eaton Show, 89.9 FM KBOB, for news, information, and critical analysis. The Bobby Eaton Show, that's where Dr. Umar hangs out.
You got me hypnotized. All it took was just one little look into your eyes. I'll do whatever La la la, ha ha. You got me walking and talking in a trance, in a magic spell of romance. Make me hug you, make me kiss you. My heart.
Hi, I'm your host, Prima Donna Braddock,
And I'm your co-host, JDM Miller.
and our radio show is Real Life, Real Talk, a talk show for sharing relevant information to help women win in life.
You can catch us every Thursday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. on KBOB 89.9 FM.
Welcome back to the Real Life, Real Talk radio show, where we are sharing relevant information to help women win in life. Hello, my real talkers out there. Happy Thursday
Happy
to you guys.
Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to another installment of Real Life, Real Talk radio show, the show where we share relevant information, content, conversation to help women win in life. How are we helping women win in life? We're helping them spiritually, financially, emotionally, just a whole gamut. Right. I am your host, Miss Prima Donna Braddock.
And I'm your co-host, JDM Miller.
Yes, and hot topics for today, my love.
So we got a few things. So I have a touching story, actually. So this man, his name is Peter Mabatsi, and I'm probably saying his last name wrong, but he has had a heart for children based on his hard life.
Okay.
So back in Uganda, he was in a very abusive home growing up.
Mm-hmm.
His father verbally, physically abused him. And then he decided at age 10 that he's just going to live on the streets and become a street kid. Can you imagine that? Like a
10
street
years
kid?
old. And so his mother was absent out of
I
his life?
guess so.
And father was abusive. Oh,
yes.
wow.
He said, I'd rather just be out in the streets and be treated out here like this than
Mhm.
be treated like that from my dad.
Right.
So anyway, he said nobody noticed him. He's picking up scraps and stuff on the streets just to eat, just to survive. And a nice person asked him what his name was. He
Mhm.
goes, I haven't had anyone ask me what my name was in 4 years.
Or even recognize him. So for 4
Recognize him.
years, he's 14 years old now,
Yes.
and no one even just acknowledged him.
Right. And then that same person asked him, are you going to school? And he said, no. Then he found out that he was academically gifted and smart.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, he's a
So-
prodigy.
Definitely a prodigy. Got to America, got his degree. I don't know what it's in. However, he's always had this desire to give back to children. Because this has been given to me, I want to do the same. And so he began becoming a foster parent.
Mm.
So with that, finally, he decided to adopt a kid. And
Wow.
so, yeah, it's just a touching story of how he has fostered more than a dozen children, including his adopted son, Anthony, now. He was placed with him in 2018 after being abandoned by his adoptive parents at age 11.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And so he adopted, is this his first adoption? I know he's fostered.
Yeah, it's his first adoption.
His first adoption. And so
Yeah.
how old was he? Okay, his parents abandoned him at age 11, which was it's kind of similar to him because he
Yeah.
was 10 years old.
Exactly.
And it doesn't say how old he was by then when he adopted him.
Yeah. But looking right here in the story from, I think it's ABC Today or something like that, he said he has no family. This is Peter saying from Uganda. He had nowhere else to go.
Mm-hmm.
So upon placement, though, Anthony asked Peter, can I just call you Dad? He found out about his story, and I guess it's melted his heart. They found out, well, he was going in and out of foster care. His family was unstable too.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just had this connection. And
And
Yes.
I love that. I
Beautiful.
love that. Oh my gosh. I especially love that because now I'm a foster kid and I foster right now. And so that's something dear to my heart too.
Yeah.
hmm I was in the system for, let's see, since I was 2 years old. And unfortunately, I never did get adopted. But I was adopted by many people who loved on me in
Yeah.
different areas. So um, I like to say my Aunt Emma adopted me.
Oh.
She's so sweet. She's no longer with me. She's
Aw.
in glory. She's made her transition. Miss that woman so much. But yeah,
Yeah.
she used to call me her adopted little daughter and stuff, and her niece. But she was a big part. And I just saw how God brought different people in my life because the Bible says when your mother and father forsake you, I am
Yes.
there. And he comes to you in different people and in different
Mm-hmm.
tribes and stuff. So that's just such a wonderful, touching story. I love to hear that. I
Right.
love to
They
hear
said
it.
they were excited and couldn't even sleep like it was Christmas, like until the adoption date. Like that just touches me. And I have a friend that
Oh,
just adopted a child, and kudos to her, Chiffon. I'm putting you out there, Chiffon Morrison, and your new child.
yes.
So congratulations.
Oh, that's
Oh, we can all
great.
make a difference in
To make
just
a
different
difference,
ways. It's just
especially the climate of this
hmm
world right now. We need to hear some sprinkle of joy and happiness and
yeah.
everything right now. So that's a great story. So what else do we have out there? Hot topics. You on a
Yes.
roll.
So speaking about happiness,
Happiness.
happiness during the pandemic, during COVID,
Dang.
during Delta variant,
Yes.
it's a choice.
It's a choice.
What are you focusing on?
Mm-hmm.
So there's this. It's she's an expert. Her name is Karen Gilchrist on happiness,
Mm.
and a lot of times, we have more control than we realize
Wow.
within our happiness. What are
Mm-hmm.
we focusing on?
Mm-hmm.
We have anticipations of stressors, financial. What if this happens? What if that happens?
Mm-hmm.
So much is going on hypothetically.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two types of worry. And a lot of times with this pandemic, the hypothetical worry is taking over. What if this?
Mm-hmm.
What if that? If this happens, this would happen. It's gonna
Right.
get another strand and another strand on the Delta.
Oh
Like,
goodness.
we'll call it this, and then the world's coming to an end. So now we
Oh.
just made everything a catastrophe. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
But if we stop and recognize, well, what are the facts happening right now?
Mm-hmm.
So I encourage everyone during this time to think about what's happening now, what's within our control, what's going on presently.
Right.
So with that in mind, you can ask yourself, let's pause and think, what can I do today? Can I go for a walk? Can I listen to some music? Can I catch up with a friend?
Hmm.
Can I eat something that's nice? Can I make something? Can I do some artwork? Like, get on those different sides of yourself that you may have like not tapped into,
Mm-hmm.
as we're like still somewhat staying at, secluded a little bit, but not really. But just taking that time to yourself of paying that kind attention and asking yourself, what can you do within your control? That would help.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, like, it's going to help you just mentally in the long run versus being worried and consumed with worry, causing you to lose out on sleep and all that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. She says you can go up and down, since this pandemic. It's like a treadmill. Happiness is like a treadmill.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to be intentional that am I going to turn this bad situation into a good situation? What are you? It's just you have to tell your mind that
Mm-hmm.
despite that we're in a pandemic and gosh, people are losing their lives. And for
Yes.
me, when people would ask me, how did you make it through, just the foster care system and abuse, sexual, physical, emotional, physical abuse?
Mm-hmm.
What kept you going? And it started in the mind. And for
Yeah.
me, I would listen to gospel music. I would be around other people who were different from me that were happy,
Mm-hmm.
that I can get some of their energy to just pour onto me
Yes.
because I didn't have much happiness, but I needed it. And then too, it's like people don't know how to be happy because if all you had in your life was just setbacks, let down,
Mm-hmm.
trauma. It's like what? That's just like an unknown place.
Right.
And I'm going to be doing a speech on, don't live in the pain because, see, people
Ooh,
stay in the pain. I said, don't live in the pain, live in the present and prepare for your future.
that's
And
good.
so what happens is that people are comfortable in the pain because it's a familiar place.
Yep.
The presence is like it's forcing you to face what was painful. So it's like, let me go back to something that is comfortable.
Right.
But the present is allowing you to be present, to heal,
Mm-hmm.
and keep going, and then to prepare for the future.
Right.
And so a lot of time people are addicted to pain.
Yeah.
And so we need to be addicted to finding happiness. I love that song. So I'm happy with Pharrell.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Like we need a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit some of that happiness. And this is the thing too. I don't know if you know this, is that people feel guilty to be happy because they may have lost some they had a friend who lost somebody, or
Yeah.
like, why are you happy? Why are you this? But I remember when all this stuff was happening with David. And he just said he had enough. Like he went and he danced his clothes off. Like he just like,
in the Bible.
I
Mhm.
gotta dance, I gotta dance the spirit
Mhm.
off of me, And it's not saying we're dismissing what's happening, but it's like, I just can't allow the enemy to have my mind.
Right.
Because as Joyce Meyer said, the battlefield of the mind.
You better go ahead.
Yeah, so let's give ourselves happiness and not feel guilty to be happy despite what's going on. We're still praying for those who are fighting to live with this COVID, or ones who have sent their kid, well, haven't sent there, but they have been deployed to Afghanistan. Or let's just try to bring some happiness for ourselves, for sanity's sake. And that's my 2 bit in it. So you go ahead, Miss Hot Topics.
That's correct. Look, that's pretty much it right there. But I agree with you. What we can do within our control is pray and take the necessary precautions.
Mm-hmm.
But choose our own happiness. Just because I'm dealing with all this stuff doesn't mean that, I don't deserve this happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this other part I just wanted to highlight. Karen mentioned, she said, one of the best ways of doing this is to start making plans. Sometimes we can have anticipatory events that can create that happiness too. So we're already setting ourselves up to say, I'm going to go out with this friend and see this friend one-on-one. Oh, let me see this person, or go for a walk, or I'm going to actually just go to the gym and just do something light and be in the sauna or in the hot tub.
Mm-hmm.
Just treat yourself.
Right.
Simple forms.
That's good. That's good. Well, that covers our hot topics. And as always, we have some great relevant information for you today after the commercial break. And we're calling this Reaction After Divorce or Death of a Spouse. So we're going to have some great women here. We have an author here who's putting an anthology book together for those who've gone through a divorce. And she's still taking submissions for those who have been through a divorce or loss of a, I guess it's just for divorce. So divorce. If you guys been through divorce and if you were able to overcome, this woman, Christy Bridges, is amazing. She's just so amazing. She's all that in a bag of chips. She's the potatoes that make the chips, child. So she is just great. And then we've got Miss Fanny back here. We have Miss Gwen. She was here. We had to bring her back, because I told her, I said, my bond, my word is my bond. We were talking about her food and she started talking about her life. I said, oh, Lord Jesus, we got to bring you on back. And it was just such a great topic for today. So we have her, and then we have the coach and licensed therapist here, Miss Katisse Burrow, who's going to shed some light on about the divorce and the clients that she's worked with, and how we can get unstuck if you're in that situation right now. And she has a great and amazing program herself and business, and you guys can get connected with her. So we got some great people coming back. So we don't want you to turn that dial. Do not scroll from Facebook. You are listening to Real Life, Real Talk here on KBOB 89.9 FM. And I'm your girl, Prima Donna Braddock, and we'll be back after the commercial break.
Searching for ways to grow your business? Or perhaps you would like to invest in Tulsa's African American community? The Black Wall Street Chamber of Commerce is a great place to start. The Chamber was created to serve and increase the visibility of needs in our community. It is an umbrella organization for local businesses, the Tulsa Juneteenth Festival, BWS Black Women in Business, and the Grassroots Economic Development Fund known as BWS The Power Group. For more information about the Black Wall Street Chamber of Commerce or to donate to the Power Group, visit bwschamber.com.
Hey, it's Denise with Addie Mae's Food for the Soul, where we cater to vegan, pescatarian, and everyday sultry soul food. We have meatloaf Mondays, taco Tuesdays, chicken wing Wednesday, Turkey and dressing Thursday, fish Fridays, barbecue Saturdays, and Sundays is our sultry soul foods. We're located at 5266 North Peoria. You can contact us for call-in orders at 918-845-2989, and we also deliver with DoorDash. Hope to see you soon. Hi, I'm Denise Parker with Midtown Embroidery. We do it all from any type of promotionals, from screen printing, embroidery, school uniforms, Greek lettering, workwear, monogramming. There's no job too big or too small and no location too far. Let us be your one-stop shop. We're located at 2808 East 15th Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, 74104. Our phone number is 918-982-3254. Our email address is denise.tulsamidtown@gmail.com. Thank you.
How to order chicken wings. Number 1, find a good wing spot.
I know a wing spot, Max Wings.
Number 2, decide if you want a combo or if you want to order a la carte.
Huh? What's that?
Well, combos come with chicken, veggie sticks, fries, and a drink for a discounted price. A la carte means that you order each item separately.
Ah, okay.
3, decide if you want bone-in, boneless, or cauliflower wings, and then determine the delicious flavor you want on your wings.
I didn't even know cauliflower had wings.
You learn something new every day. Have you been to Max Wings?
Yep.
Max Wings is located at 782 East Pine Street in Tulsa. We're open Monday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Friday and Saturday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Come to Max Wings, home of the dry rub fries.
Did you know that sickle cell disease affects people from all races and ethnicities? Sickle cell disease can look like you, and sickle cell disease can look like me. You could carry the sickle cell trait and never even know it. The state of Oklahoma and the supporters of Families with Sickle Cell Disease Incorporated are invested in educating Oklahomans about sickle cell disease and other inherited blood disorders and traits. For more information, visit us at www.oksickleinfo.org.
We're ready for life beyond COVID-19, beyond boundaries. It's time to move beyond, connect beyond, celebrate beyond, live beyond. And the vaccine is our best shot at getting there. Get your free vaccine at vaccinate918.com today. Brought to you by the Tulsa Health Department.
Tulsa Transit is excited to introduce the Route 969 Workforce Express Network. The new Highway 169 Corridor Job Shuttle, WEN, is a fixed route service offering access from North Tulsa and Turley. Stops include Macy's, Amazon, Whirlpool, and Port of Catoosa. Save time and money when you ride the WEN Route 969. And for your protection, buses are cleaned daily. Visit tulsatransit.org for more details.
Do you manage or own a business in North Tulsa? Websites for Good wants to help put you on the map. Google Maps. You're invited to our free pop-up event the last 2 Saturdays this August from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the TEDC East Suites in the Shops on Peoria. Learn how to successfully promote your business using Google Maps. No commitment, no catch involved. And we got prizes. 2 lucky participants are getting paid. All you got to do is enter is show up. Shout out to the sponsors, builders, and backers, Heartland Ford and Accenture.
Last Stop Lawn Maintenance and Landscaping is hiring today. Must have a valid driver's license and must have a 2 years verifiable experience mowing and lawn maintenance with the company. Strict attendance policy is required. Honest, dependable, and team-oriented. No sex offenses or crime against children. Must apply online at www.laststoplawnmaintenance.com. Apply today.
Hi, I'm your host, Prima Donna Braddock.
And I'm your co-host, JDM Miller.
And our radio show is Real Life, Real Talk, a talk show for sharing relevant information to help women win in life.
You can catch us every Thursday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. on KBOB 89.9 FM.
Welcome back to the Real Life, Real Talk radio show, where we are sharing relevant information to help women win in life. Hello, Real Talkers. We've got, as I said before the commercial break, an important, great show for you all that we're calling it Reaction After Divorce or Death of a Spouse. Today's guests will be sharing their journey with their divorce or loss or loved ones and some therapeutic words. In the studio today, we have divorcee, mother, and entrepreneur Gwen Bonds Stutley, therapist and empowerment coach Katisse Barrow, author Christy Bridges, and calling in, we have widow, divorcee, mother, and entrepreneur Glenda Porter.
Right. Gwen Stutley was born and raised in Chicago, where she, as a teenager, was responsible for starting dinner after school. Her love for cooking grew as she got older, and she was often told to open a restaurant. In January of 2021, she did just that, naming her restaurant after her hardworking mother, Fanny. Gwen is a mother of 3, grandmother of 2, and great-grandmother of 4, who is following her dreams.
Yes. Yay. And so we also have Miss Glenda Porter, who's calling in on the phone, is a hardworking mother and successful businesswoman who has had her own business for the last 27 years, starting in Minnesota. Glenda's business has moved from Minnesota to Ohio, and it is now here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The business Proverbs 31 Enterprises LLC focuses on graphics, administrative services, and now jewelry.
And Katisse Barrow, an LCSW and women's empowerment coach, has been doing this for 10 years. She has, her name of her business is Living My Worth. And she will be helping give insight about marital issues from a therapist's point of view on the show today. So welcome.
And then we have, last but not least, Miss Christy Bridges is a corporate trainer, curriculum designer, and founder of One Moment Wiser. As a Christian author and podcaster, she helps people reach others with their unique stories. Please welcome our VIP guests, Miss Gwen Bonds Stutley, Glenda Porter, Katisse Barrow, and Christy Bridges to the Real Life, Real Talk Show. Yes! We're going to delve right on in. We have some phenomenal Wonder Women here on the show here. So let's just go in and you can start, Mr. Dia.
All right.
What do you have?
So let's go down the line. We're going to see if anyone's who's divorced and who has lost a spouse. Glenda, you want to go on first?
Yes, because you were married for how long?
Yeah, how long?
Can you, hold on. Let me get her on. Let me get her mic on. Can you hear us? Yeah, so I had to put your mic on,
This is a question to all. So divorced, how long?
Well, not divorced, her spouse, her first marriage, it was due to a loss.
Yeah, so that's why I want to figure out which one are you?
Yeah.
We were together for 18 years and we were married for almost 16 when he passed away.
Wow. Now for you,
and
go ahead.
My second, we were together for 3 years and we were only married for 4 months.
4 months. Okay.
They're both.
Yes. And for you, Miss Gwen, you were married for how long?
So we were together for 33 years. 15 years we lived together. 18 years we were married.
Wow. Okay, wait. Hold up. You said you guys were married for 33 years.
We were together for a total of 33 years.
3 years.
15 living together, and then 18 we got
married. Okay. All right. So Miss Christy, was this your first marriage? Did you get married before or no?
So I'm actually on my second marriage.
Okay.
My first marriage was right out of high school because I knew everything and how to do it right. We lasted 7 years. And my second marriage, miraculously, has lasted 23 years.
Oh. And Katisse, who's going to be shedding light with us, is, shedding light with us as a therapist. Are you married or are you still single?
So guess what, ladies?
Yes,
I am single.
Okay.
However, I do work with clients from all walks of life and varying levels of relationship, and I do know what it's like to experience a long-term relationship and to see that come to an end. But nevertheless, I can't wait to just hear a little bit more about the lady's story.
And let me chime in about this. Now, you guys may be looking like, okay, how is she a therapist? She ain't never been married. What can she share with us? And I want to answer that question to you all. When you go to the doctor and you have an ailment, let's say it's cancer, do you ask your doctor, well, have you ever had breast cancer before to actually know how to treat me? Is that something? No, y'all don't. You guys trust on the education, the training that they receive. So I just want to just put that out there because I know when I was in grad school and I was taking marriage family classes, and one person is like, what can you tell me about marriage? And I said, probably a whole lot because you about to be divorced. So I mean, so I just want to say that she's bringing in tools about communication and just things of what happened with families and stuff, and why they seem to, go their own way, separate ways. So yes, let's get into married for 18 years. Is that what you said,
That's what
Glenda?
I said.
Oh, you were 18. I think, Glenda, did you say 18
too? A total of being together for 33 years.
Okay, 33 years. So what was it that for the divorce that happened? So you guys have how many children together?
So we have 3 children, daughter 51, a son 46, and my youngest daughter 39.
Wow. Okay, 39.
Yeah. And so this is what I know to be a fact. First of all, let me just say this. Thank you for,
Put the mic up closer, yeah.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for allowing me to come back on the show to share, and then for you allowing us to speak about what God has done in our lives to help us overcome some situations that could have been very traumatic for us.
Right.
And I think for my ex-husband and I, who we are very, very, very close, and I would say he's one of my best friends.
Oh, that's good.
I couldn't say that when we were married because of the issues we were going through. But one of the things that I do know, before we even got married, when we just lived together, he said to me, I don't ever want to be married. He said that to me before we even got married. But a typical woman who feels like, oh, he doesn't really mean that. I can change his mind.
Right.
We got these kids together, so he wants to be married. So I would just say to any woman now, listen to what the man tells you.
Ooh.
Don't do what you think he said. No, he told you what he wanted and what he said. And he told me he didn't want to be married. But from pressure from his family, me constantly saying, man, it's another year we live together and you haven't married me yet. So he finally said, go ahead, put things together, but I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. And he didn't stop.
He didn't stop doing what he was doing. And what was that? So basically he was saying he didn't want to get married because he thought he would have to stop what you want to do. So he said, but since you keep twisting my arm, you want to be married and I still want to do what I'm doing. So what was he doing that he wanted to still keep doing?
He was having his little extra affairs. And he didn't want to cheat on me. You got to hear the whole thing now. And I can look back on it now and see that he was thinking about me before we even married because he didn't want to be married. But once he said, I will. But let me say this to you, Gwen, I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. And so my response was, I don't care. Because in my mind, I'm going to help him stop. He's really going to stop.
Did you know he had other affairs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
you're never the last to know.
Okay.
Don't even believe that. You know when it's going on. But what I did know about him and what I do know today about him, he's an excellent, excellent provider and father. And so those are the things that I looked at. Well, I can deal with this other stuff because he's here for his kids. He's taking care of us. but the other stuff I couldn't because I didn't think too much of myself to even accept that type of relationship. But that's what we do as women, unfortunately.
Right.
We accept what we know. Yeah, he said that, but he don't really mean that.
Right.
I'm going to get him to change his mind.
Right.
No, he meant every word he said.
So basically what Miss Gwen is saying, ladies, listen to everything what they they are telling you before they saying I do not, and they call that the red flag. So please listen to it because they are telling you how they're feeling and what their thoughts. So 7 years. So they say, Christy, that it takes 7 years itch. The 7 years itch. They said marriages don't last after 7 years. That's what the studies show. And so you said you were married right after high school and you felt like, hey, I was ready, I'm mature for this, and you met the research studies that said it doesn't usually last after 7 years. So tell us about your experience.
So I had a husband that I thought I could trust. I told a friend, naked woman would come in, sit down on his lap, he wouldn't do anything.
Wow.
And unfortunately, a woman across the country online liked his poetry so much that she won his heart. And I think at the time he was going through a little bit of an early midlife crisis. Things were not working out the way he wanted them to. And I had issues I didn't recognize. I was insanely codependent and kind of a control freak. And so, when you don't give yourself time to grow up, when you don't give yourself time to be single, when you don't give yourself time to get to know yourself, you don't know what you're doing. And so all said and done, I found a love letter in his back pocket that he'd been writing to somebody. And when I was doing laundry, and found the atlas in the closet. And a few weeks later, I was burning all of our love letters because he had driven off to, go to the other side of the country.
Oh, wow.
So that was, it's funny because at first I thought I have just wasted 8 years of my life because we dated for a year. But even as I was burning those love letters that he'd written to me, and now his all caps teenage passion was just kind of shrinking in the flames. I just felt like God was up there going, not a waste, because God doesn't waste anything. We can make these goofy mistakes. We can mess up a good thing, but all along, God is still placing things in our lives to give us guidance, to give us a future and a hope. And he did. As I recovered, it took a little while and I made some mistakes. But as I recovered, I began to discover things about me that were stronger and better than they ever would have been. And so that's the purpose of the book, is to help people make better decisions. I started smoking. What a dumb thing to do. But, it's like little things that I did that people don't really have to do. But also to realize that there's already good in progress. God isn't done. Your life isn't over. There's so much more.
So Miss Glenda, who's calling from the phone, married for how long again? Was it 16?
Yes.
16 years. Okay. But sadly, your husband suddenly passed away. And so we're talking about losses, not only from divorce, but just a loss of a spouse. And where did that take you?
Wow. I was angry.
Yeah.
It was sudden. I mean, we were not expecting that. He had been sick, but he always recovered. So we were really not expecting that. I would say the biggest emotion that I had beyond grief itself is that I was angry. I was so angry. I was lost. I was angry at God. I was just angry. My children were 3 and 6 years old. It was kind of traumatic how he died. They were with him. I had just left the house. We had fertility issues for years. We had lost a lot of babies. And so here I am, almost 41 years old. We finally have children, and now he's gone. So it was like, now I'm a single parent. I'm in my early 40s, prime of my life. My husband is gone. And I'm like, God, this is not funny. I mean, it just was not funny. I was lost. I realized that everything was wrapped up in my marriage, my everything, my whole confidence as a person. Everything was wrapped up. My confidence was wrapped up in being his wife, Tim's wife. We did ministry together. We had several businesses. We did business together. We did parenting. We were friends. We have been together since 18 and 22 years old. And now here we were 36 and 40. And it was just like, what is this? All of a sudden shift, and he's gone, not coming back, not divorced, not down the road, just gone. And so I was mad.
You were mad.
I was mad.
So this is a question for you, Katie. So Elizabeth Kubler, who talks about, the 5 stages of grief.
Absolutely.
And it definitely, Glenda is talking about the anger. That's what just the 5 stages of grief. And although her loss was, death, these 2 ladies here had losses as well, Miss Gwen and Christy, with divorce. And so we see so many women out there who miss the red flags like Gwen did. He said, I'm not gonna, change. And they're like, well, so what? I still want the wedding, the ring, and you put a ring on it. And so then you have Christy, who's just like, I finally found out that she didn't know who she was. Like she had things about herself. And so all of them have, great, I shouldn't say experiences, but have their stories that it's really important to know, what do you do when this happened, of how do you work on yourself before you say I do. Now she has to work on, being a single mother, taking care of everything, but which she wasn't prepared for. So your answer to that.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that I heard in what the lady said and what was shared that I want to sort of capitalize on in this conversation. One of them is an actual. So we have like funerals. There's a kind of a ceremony. You talked about burning things. And I'm not telling you to burn your house down, right? But I do think that when we experience loss of any kind, or even if it is an intentional loss, right? Oh, this relationship is not working for me. It's not feeding me. It's toxic. Whatever the case may be, having a ceremonious way of looking back and blessing whatever it gave to you, and also being sorrowful about whatever it may have taken from you, right? Is the first place. And I think that's why it is good to pause. And it could be like, well, she has kids, or how can she do that? The first thing that we need to do is we need to lean on our support system, right? And figure out like who is it? Where are those people that we can say, hey, I'm needing help. I'm needing support. I can't imagine that you all did and walked through any of that totally alone. But even if you feel like you're totally alone, and I think it's safe for me to say this, you can lean on God. You can lean on the Holy Spirit, and you can pray, and you can ask for guidance and direction. Okay, you know what? I feel like I'm alone. Show me who to talk to. Show me where is that person that may bring that, that plate of food that stays a little bit longer. And when they say, is there anything I can help you with? Is there anything that I can do? Then your answer is to say yes. Can you run the bath water for my 2-year-old or whatever the case may be? And it's practical, because whenever we experience grief and loss, all the practical things become so hard. Just trying to wake up in the morning, put your pants on, go to work, cook a meal, take care of yourself. And so what's counterintuitive is to just lay all of that down. So what we really need to do is focus even more on making sure that the small things, like am I breathing?
Mm-hmm.
Did I take a shower today? Because guess what? When you're going through something like what you all have went through, what Glenda has went through, that can be the difference.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I would offer to you. In the therapy world, we call that coping.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. You just went through some crap. And it's terrible. We're not asking you to try to be or do anything other than sit in that and figure out a way to allow yourself to be with it in a way that's going to be healthy and safe. So sometimes people choose, other ways of coping that's going to end up with more problems later, like using drugs or drinking. You talked about I start smoking or whatever. No judgment here, right? But just watching out for those types of things, but really, really taking that time to pause and pour back into yourself is what
That
you
is
need
so
to do.
good. It's the truth. You have to recognize your support. So with that being said, my next question is for all the ladies that experienced things. Okay, so first fold, sorry, I want to formulate it right. Talk to me about your supports. Like, who were your supports? What did you learn? Did you receive therapy? That's my question to each of you ladies. So I want to start with Belinda. Did you have therapy? Did you have supports? And what did you learn during that time of, even though you were angry and going through the loss of your husband?
I couldn't hear you really well. Did you say during my therapy what did I learn?
She was asking you, what was your support? Did you go through therapy after the loss of your husband? Did you have a great support system with you right after the loss?
Can you tell us about that?
I did. I was working in nursing administration. I had helped launch a doctor's office right at the point when my husband passed away. And immediately, the doctor's wife, she signed us up for counseling like the following week. So we began immediately. And we were with a group in Dayton, Ohio, called Oak Tree. And Oak Tree was for children and for adults. So while the children, and it was like age appropriate for your children. So my two children were split into different groups. And then while the children were meeting, the adults met. And so the parents met. And so it was very, very helpful during that time. But honestly, I was still very, very numb during that time. I was just like a zombie going through. And I was doing some very destructive things because I just didn't want to feel it at that point. I did have a lot of family. I had church. I had people and I had girlfriends that were really helpful. But in all honesty, it was such an open wound. I didn't even know how to open myself up to really communicate to people how I really felt, I know we're in grief counseling right now at our church, and something that the counselor said, he was saying that people are angry because, you feel like the world is just going on. And it's like, well, don't you understand that my world has changed? Well, that's how I felt at that time. And I was just saying that I'm grateful that you all put these two titles together, because for many years, until 10 years later, when I got married and got divorced, I used to get really ticked off when people used to say divorce is like a death. And I used to be like, y'all never lost y'all ex-husband. You have no clue what that feels like. Well, then oh no. Okay, sorry, my dog started barking. So then it really did happen. And I did get divorced. And then I experienced that grief and loss of a husband on a whole different level. Wow. It's a different degree of death, and it's a different degree of grief, but it is the same type of grief. And so I'm just like, and it warrants the same type of care.
Okay. So I guess the death for you is like, it's the death of the marriage is over, but the fact that he is still a relationship, but he's still alive. Whereas your first husband, it wasn't that he wasn't coming back. Right. Would that be correct? Okay. Yeah. So Miss,
but it is. So when that scripture in Psalm says that he's close to the brokenhearted and those who are crushed, I mean, it mirrors both situations, both marriage situations, because you are crushed, you are broken. You're broken when your husband dies, you're broken when you are divorced, because this union, this joining together is now ripped apart. And whatever it was that you all did together, had planned together, is no longer an option. It's no longer there. And all you have is the pieces of what is left there. And it does warrant, grieving so that you can move forward.
Wow. Miss Gwen.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead. So when you talked about a support system, so here I am, I'm 73 years old, very proud to be 73. So the women in my age group,
I know, she looks amazing.
The women in my age group had a different take on what you do in your marriage.
Right.
So there's not a support system the way it should be to help so that you can go and talk to somebody about what's going on. First of all, you don't want to share that with anybody, that you're in a marriage, the husband is cheating. You don't want nobody to know about that. So you keep it to yourself, you lash out. And again, there was something that I was not doing to help the marriage either. It's not just one-sided. There are two sides to every story. The fact that he said what he said at the very beginning, the fact that I said, I don't care, we can do it. I did care. So at the end, I kind of took on that and I owned that. And so I got what I got. Now, when I look back on it and I think about, there are a lot of marriage classes in church. There are tons of them. Help the couples do this. I don't know of any that have a class to help a divorced couple get through what they're dealing with. I even know in church, you've got the situation where the couple divorced, the man remarried, and his second wife is sitting in the church along with the first wife who's there. She hasn't even gotten through. She hasn't even been able to deal with the divorce. Now she's got to look at her ex, sit with a wife, his current wife, and they're sitting in church together. So my prayer is that somewhere, some church, somebody is going to open up and recognize the need for counseling for women and men, because men are going through that too, but they're not going to talk about it the way we talk about it, because it's a man's thing. I'm too macho to share that I'm hurt from the fact that this divorce has happened. And I do know right now today, if I had just said, you know what, I'm going to stay. My ex didn't want to get a divorce. No, he loved the family. He loved being married. He loved having all the little different things that we would have at the house, entertaining and all of that. And so what happens right now today, there are women in marriages where they're not happy. because nobody's speaking to their love language. It took me 50 years to find out what a love language was. I know mine now. I know my love language. So the next person that enters into my life, he's going to have to speak to, if not all of them, 3 of them. Since there's 5, I'm going to let you have 3. And then I want to get to know you. I need to know what your love language is so that we can come together and make this thing be right. There's so much knowledge I've gained from being divorced.
So let me just stop you right there, Miss Lady. So you said he didn't want to get a divorce because he liked the whole feel of family.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
And you'll find that there are a lot of men in my age and a lot of women who are married right now, but they're not happy. They don't share the happiness and stuff that you should be sharing in a marriage. They're there because
of convenience.
Yeah. Or we've been together for 30 years and let us go ahead and just stay together for the rest of our lives. But I'm thankful that God healed and delivered me and set me free to know who I am, to speak to what I am, who I am as a woman and what you deserve. And then what he deserved. He deserved to be with someone who could support him where he is. Believe it or not, his girlfriend right now and I are friends.
Wow.
When I moved here in August, she was at my house at least 3 days a week, helping me pack my clothes.
Your ex-husband?
My ex-husband's girlfriend. Because remember, I told you, me and my ex-husband are very good friends.
Right. Yep.
And that was important. You know why? Because we've got children. And they love their father. They love their father. So it's not fair for them to have to make a decision. Oh, we're going to be on my side or we're going to be on dad's side. That's not right. So it was important for me to recognize the importance of saying, you know what? This is not working. You might not want to split. But when that youngest girl in 2000, when she goes away to college, I'm out of here. And that's what we did.
And I want to first give shout out to people who tune in. Your daughter, Donna Holden, is tuned in with us. Clara Oliver is tuned in with us. Of course, we have Glenda, who's by phone. She's here. Allie to Star is tuned in. My girl Abby Bermudez is tuned in. So we just thank you guys for tuning in. Please share this. This is some great nuggets, some information with these ladies are sharing. And please like our Facebook page. It's Real Life, Real Talk Facebook page. And you can just stay in tune of things that we're doing and just stay afloat with all the things and topics. And if you have a topic out there that you want us to discuss, let us know. Inbox us. If you want to be a guest on our show, please inbox us as well. So, Miss Gwen, you said you just finally found out your love language. And what was that?
So here's the number one.
Yeah, number 1.
Physical touch.
Yes.
Touch me. Rub me. Slap me. Whatever. Physical touch.
She said slap her.
And words of affirmation. Let me know how important I am. Because when you give it out to me, I'm certainly going to give it out to you. It's the truth. But you got to know of people before you connect in a marriage with them. You need to know what those languages are, what his languages are. I'm telling you, I bet it's a lot of women right now today who are married who don't know what their husband's love language is. I'm willing to bet you they don't know.
Yes. You know what? And I forgot to mention this. My husband is watching Brad. So thank you, Brad, for watching. And his love language is time, just quality time. That's his love language.
Yes.
All right, moving right along. Miss Christy from what Jadea was asking. Do you want to repeat the question, Jadea?
Yes, about support. So who were your supports? Did you receive therapy? And what did you learn?
So I'll tell you what I learned. I did get therapy for a couple of weeks, but I didn't know myself well enough to do the therapist any good.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know yet what was wrong in my heart, in my attitudes and actions. And so instead, I jumped right into another relationship, and guess where I ended up a few years later? In therapy.
That'll help you get to know yourself.
Oh gosh. And so at that point, I knew, I understood that codependency was just making me miserable. And my self-worth, my acceptance, my absolute total lack of boundaries had just caused relationship issue after relationship issue and some other things. Now, at the same time, I grew a lot in other areas because I had friends who supported, my musical endeavors, who supported, writing, who encouraged me to get up and get out, and who would text me or call me. Back then we didn't have text, but back then we called, emailed. I had people who showed up. But yeah, it took going at it the wrong way, not knowing myself well enough, jumping into therapy, and then out again into a relationship, got me to eventually recognize what was going on with me, and got me back into therapy. Just because you've tried something once and it didn't work, or it wasn't that good, don't blame the process. Look at the person. Who was I at that time? Was I the same person then that I am now?
I like that.
Maybe it's worth trying again. And it was. My therapist at that time was 65 when she got her psychology degree.
Yeah.
And that right there impressed me and inspired me, because I was in my 30s at that time. And I thought life was over because I hadn't been famous by the time I was 30.
Oh.
Here I am racing the clock, trying to sing and looking, feeling older. Well, guess what? You know what? She was 65 and she had started doing something she dreamed of doing. And then I went to a Willie Nelson concert, and he was like 70 at the time. And I thought, you know what? I can do whatever I want to at whatever age I am.
Got a little time.
You got it. No more pressure.
Yes. So we're talking about love language here. That's a topic that comes up a lot. And then Katis, how many times have you had clients come in and they expect for you to figure it out? Like you just have this magic wand. I'm a therapist too. And Jadia's a therapist. And you have this magic wand and to figure it out. And like how Christy said, I'm so glad of her honesty. Like, I really didn't help the therapist because I didn't really know who I was. So I didn't give her enough information to help navigate through all of my stuff. How often does that happen? And how important is for one to know their love language and really be in tune of their spouse love language, or before they get into a relationship?
Yeah. So, it happens a lot. I mean, I even have some clients who are married and they are, unhappy and trying to figure it out. And self-awareness is huge. And I think that, my background is in social work. So I really think about people in terms of their environment. And so a lot of times we're socialized from the standpoint of just as women, right, to sort of blend into roles. And we are not always taught to really know who we are. You may have, Gwen, you may have grown up in the church and maybe there was such a stigma around being touched that you didn't know you liked that, right? And so being able to really get in touch with who you are and speak the truth, because I heard you say that he spoke his truth and then you kind of lied to yourself and said, I think I can be all right with that. So it is ultra important for you to be able to move on in a relationship where there's more than just you, to really understand what you like, what you dislike, and who you are and where you are going. Because you know what? If you all are not going in the same direction, maybe you can plan to meet later, but it's just not always going to work. So I definitely think that it happens a lot. And some of my work is around from the therapy side. It's okay, let's look at what happened in your past, right? That's keeping you from moving forward. And then from the coaching side, it's who do you intend to be? What do you want your life to look like? What is your desire and design? And let's think about what needs to happen now to take you where you want to go. And that all takes you being true to yourself and allowing self-awareness to be in the forefront. But a lot of times, because of the way we are socialized as women, we get into being nice instead of kind. So nice is I don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't really want to tell the truth. I'm not sure. Ooh, are you going to like me if I? And kind is, I'm going to let you know what the truth is, and I'm going to have healthy boundaries for myself, even if it means that I have to walk away from you.
I remember my professor said when I was taking my grad classes in counseling at Oral Roberts, he said it's really important to let your spouse know in the very beginning of a relationship than 10 years down the line, because then they were like, what do you mean? I've been doing this all the time. If that bothered you then, you need to bring it up. But I think the problem is we were so caught up in the honeymoon stage. Well, I just don't want to nag him. We're in love and all this. And I remember when I was an intern at Oral Roberts University, and I was doing premarital counseling, and there was a couple just all in love. But there was a situation that happened. Well, he was just he was very much into academics, and I don't think she had went to college. She was a hairstylist. And so he was just about to finish his master's in divinity at Oral Roberts. And, but he said, yeah, right after that, I'm going to get my PhD. And the look on her face was just like, she just dropped. And I said, oh, that was different, because I pay attention to body languages.
Yeah.
And so he was more of the dominant, person in the relationship. And she was more like, she's just kind of like, okay, I'm in love. I got a ring. It's just nothing. So she wasn't as assertive. And so I said, what's going on, honey? And she's like, and he interrupted her and said, oh, she's just upset because, we're not together, but we're not living with each other. But once we get married, we'll be there with each other, and it'll be all fine. I said, I don't think so. That's not the look that I'm getting from her. I said, please talk to me. She said, well, I didn't think we were going to get married and he was just going to be a professional student for the rest of his life. Like, I wanted him to work and, help provide for the household. And I just didn't want to be the person, flipping the bills and stuff. I wanted, and she said, and once again, he said, again, it's because we're not together, but once we get married, it'll be different. I said, no. And then he said, we'll cross that bridge when it comes. I said, guess what? The bridge is here. And we're about to cross it.
It's gonna be
We're
the
about
same.
to cross that bridge. And so I know he was feeling some type of way about me, because it's like, wait a second, though. I had everything under the control here. But let me tell you, that young lady ended up getting a book about assertiveness. How to be heard, because she wasn't feeling like she was being heard in this relationship. So he said, now she got this book and she's, she's speaking her mind and she's doing because of therapy. I said, well, isn't that good? Because you guys don't want that down the line, 10, 15 years, and you're very unhappy. You need to express these concerns now.
Yes.
And I'm glad she's noticing it and she's recognizing it. So it's very, very important. So do you have another question, my dear Jadea?
Yes. What were the myths and lies that you believed surrounding the situation, like of divorce?
Because the myths and lies.
Because we get myths from other people, like we'll never be married again,
or how can you take care of those kids?
Yes, all that stuff comes like. Did any of you all have to deal with that, and how did you counteract that with the truth when lies are being spilled from you, your friends or family members or yourself? Anybody have anything like that they would like to share? I see Christy nodding her head.
Well, it's funny that you asked this, because just last night I was praying about the book, and I just started making a list of all the lies that didn't necessarily stem from the relationship, but that definitely had a part in that relationship and in my marriage now. Like I said before, it's a miracle that my marriage now has lasted, because along the way of growing up and seeing my dad, who really liked his women, and watching Charlie's Angels, all those things, right? I got the idea that being sexy was powerful, that being sexy was enough. And if you could be, hot and flexible, versatile, then you could attract and keep a man. Well, that doesn't actually do the job, because guess what? Everybody else is trying to do that too.
Right.
And there's got to be more. And that is one of the things that when I was, well, a long story, but that's one of the things that along the way didn't work in keeping my first husband's attention.
Okay.
And then my second husband's attention drifted pretty quickly because he was, not the man he is now when we met.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to come to grips over the years with the fact that a lot of the ideas that I had about who I was supposed to be, the person who takes care of everything, the person who can bear all the load, the person who's sexy enough, all these things that I tried to be enough, they don't work because everybody, it's funny, we worry about what other people think about us.
Mm-hmm.
Most people aren't thinking about us. They're thinking about their own needs. And as I've gotten comfortable with who I am, Richard, my current husband, has really fallen in love with who I am.
Oh, wow.
What a burden to a man to continuously need his attention and affirmation. What a burden to another human being to expect them to be like God. To expect them to give you all the things that you need as a person. No, get those things from God and from being who he made you to be. Not, don't try to suck somebody dry to fill your own cup.
Right. That's good.
Good stuff.
Gwen, the same question.
So I think the biggest thing for me would have been having 3 children. I was born in a 2-parent household. I saw my father work every day to provide for us. He took care of us. So that right there says to me, I need to give the same thing to my children. So early on, recognizing this marriage is not working, but here I go. I'm going to stay here for the sake of my children because they deserve to have a father who cares about them, who loves them, and provides for them. He's not wanting to be married, but he does want the relationship with his children. He wants that. So it's only right for me to stay right here, deal with what and the thing about it, you don't realize my daughters are now looking at a woman who is accepting things from a man that she knows is not right. Because the kids are not stupid. They're not crazy.
No.
They know that this marriage is not the way it should be.
Mhm.
So now am I teaching my daughters this is what you accept from a man?
Wow.
Am I teaching that to them? But here I know because of God in my life and in my children's life, it was prayer. It was making sure that I gave everything I gave on the altar to God so that he could heal me and that the thing that I thought my daughters would attach themselves to, they would not. They would not go into a relationship with someone not loving and caring about them. And I'm thankful today that even during the time of the marriage, I was an intercessory prayer. And every morning I would get my kids up and we would pray together before they left to go to school.
Oh, wow.
My ex-husband would throw on his clothes as quick as he could to run out of that house because he didn't want the environment of that prayer.
Yeah.
And this man is a retired Chicago school teacher for 40 years, special ed. So he knows what's going on with kids and how he cared about them. So I'm just saying how we can get caught up and feel like this is where I need to stay. Because again, I felt I can't take care of my kids the way they need to be taken care of. I can't give them the things that they deserve to have. I can't do it by myself. I just can't. And at that time, I couldn't because my mind said that I couldn't. And I didn't have the support financially from someone else who would help me raise my children.
Wow. Glenda, the same question. Do you remember it?
I'll go back over it. What were the lies that you believed during this time? And how did you counteract those lies or myths?
Well, I walked away from my marriage because I loved my children. My ex-husband, he had a drug abuse issue, which became abusive. And so I walked away for that reason. I loved him. He was a kind person. He loved God. He loved me. He loved my children. I had no doubt of that. But I was not going to stay and allow my children to believe that this is what they needed to receive as a person, or that this was their responsibility to take care of. It was not. And so it was hard. It was hard and it was embarrassing. Me, a woman of God, I'm walking away from a marriage after 4 months. But I did what I needed to do. And then God helped me because he came to me and said he wanted to leave. And since the word of God said if they want to stay, let them stay. And he wanted to leave, so I let him leave. And it was hard, but I let him leave. And I thought I was never going to get an apology. In the healing process, I came to grips with that too, that I'm going to live maybe never getting an apology, because I also had to come to grips with my part too. There were red flags on the field. You know what I'm saying? I always say, how many flags did it got to be on the field before there's a foul? Only one. Sometimes I had a half of a field because I thought that my love was going to change things, and that was wrong, But nevertheless, I had to own my part of it, my part of being codependent and thinking that I was going to change a person, and I could not. And so anyway, that ended. And what I have, how I have survived really has been the word of God, my relationship with God, and what I've taught my children is the same. My children, it was 10 years before I remarried, and it's been 5 years. I haven't even been really in a relationship, because now I'm waiting on God. I believe I'm ready now, but I don't have nobody running in and out of the house in the middle of the night or none of that stuff. My kids don't see that because I value myself at a different level than where I ever had. I'm teaching them that their confidence has to be in God. I want them to get their education, and I want them to learn to stand on their feet, not have that mentality that I got to have a man take care of me. You know what I'm saying? You take care of you. Praise God that he will bring someone into your life that you all will be self-sufficient together, but not to have that mindset that you got to have a man take care of you, And so I do praise God. I thank God for his healing, through all of it, through the death, through the loss. And I thank God because he is the ultimate healer that puts us back together. And so
yes, I love it. So we have I want to say Erilyn, am I saying her name right? Erilyn has joined us on this call and on this show. We want to thank you very much. She's joining us from Facebook. Your daughter, Donna Holden, says, I want to sit at the table with y'all because this is really good. Y'all are sharing some good information. Then she continues to say, such wisdom on the call. And she's saying about you, Glinda. So yes, Miss Katise, what did you wanted to chime in?
Yes.
Listening.
So I know a couple of times codependency has come up in the conversation. So I just wanted to expound on that, and in the way of, if you're listening and this is you, there's three therapists in the room. Definitely reach out. But what codependency is, it is where we feel emotionally, psychologically reliant on someone else.
That's right.
Basically, boiling it down, if they're not okay, you're not okay, and we really need to be able to be okay on our own. And I know we're talking about marriage, and so I want to really just differentiate this, and that is this: marriage is not a union that is about you breaking down yourself and becoming less and becoming weaker.
That's good.
Marriage
so good.
is about you finding a partner that you can be more powerful with.
Wow, that's good.
Okay?
That's good.
So I just want to be very clear. And if you're finding yourself in a place where you are in a union that's not making you more powerful, then codependency is a place to look, meaning that they're not emotionally hijacking you. So if they didn't have a good day, now you can't have a good day, because they're coming home and they're sliding their feet across the floor and they're slamming the cabinets and they're yelling at the kids and they're ignoring you and giving you the silent treatment because of however, or they're making unsafe and poor choices, like what Glenda was talking about, that is just putting everybody in the household in a space where they have to be more responsible for them and what they are going through. So I just wanted to sort of chime in and share that.
So
Thank you so much for that.
That was good. That was powerful. And I want to say, what was the factor that you guys said it's time to end this? When did you finally say, Gwen, that, you know what, enough is, I heard you say, I grew up in a 2-parent household. I wanted my kids to experience that. But as she was saying, to have a partner, you guys are supposed to grow powerfully together. But you were feeling broke down, and actually you missed the red flags because you just thought, hey, I can fix them, and that's another thing. A lot of people feel like when they get married, it's going to be a fix-all, honey. If it's broken, then ain't nothing going to be fixed when you get married, because marriage is not a cure that a fix-all. So go ahead, Miss Gwen.
So I think it was when I finally realized who I was, what I deserved, and what was important for me as a mother to be able to show my children that I'm okay. That he's okay. We're not okay together.
Yes. Oh, we're not okay together.
We're not okay together. So that was when it finally made sense that now we need to just part ways. And again, I think I said that I believe in my heart, if I didn't push the issue of us separating and finally divorcing, we would probably still be together right now.
Unhappy.
Unhappy.
Just
unhappy, but just staying there, not helping each other at all to grow, because he certainly wasn't helping me, because he had a lot of insecurities going on in his life. Even though he was a great teacher, college graduate, I mean, all of that, he still had some issues. And I had some issues. He took me out of my parents' home into a place that we lived together. My parents didn't want me living with a person and not being married to them, because old school says you got to be married. But I was like, it's okay. We're going to get married eventually. He's going to do right.
Compromising,
So when I got to the place of knowing, Gwen, this is who you are. Now remember, we separated in 2000. We didn't get a divorce until 2002.
So were your kids grown by then?
Oh yeah, my kids were grown
by the time you guys left.
Yeah, because the youngest we took away to college in 2000. But here we are. I'm living. I'm in my own place. He's in his own place, and he's enjoying life because he's doing the things that he's always done.
So you got separated in 2000, didn't divorce until 12 years later?
Until 2002.
2 years later. 2 years. I thought you said 12.
Later.
Okay,
yeah,
2
years later. And it wasn't because he just did it. It was because I kept after him. You need to get a divorce because you're enjoying life. Because I'm a Christian, I'm still married to you. I don't care if we are separated, we're still legally married. So therefore, I can't engage in another relationship with anybody because I'm married. So after talking to him, convincing him, because he has a brother who's a judge, and I knew the papers could be pushed very quickly. We could put that whole thing together and get a divorce very quickly. And that's exactly what happened. But again, as I stated earlier, we still go to family reunions. I go to his family reunion. He comes to mine because we have that relationship. And I think deep inside of him, he's found ways to say, I'm sorry, without saying I'm sorry, without using the words, but things that I would maybe want him to do when we were married, he wouldn't dare do that now. I called him maybe a couple of months ago and said, hey, can you recommend a place where I can go get some tires? Because I need new tires for the car. He told me the place, and then he said, I'll meet you over there. So he does those types of things still to be helpful.
And that's his way of apologizing.
I believe that.
Yeah,
I believe that.
That's good.
And it was only because, too, God healed me. So in healing me, I had to show him that I forgave him. I don't believe that we would be at this place of just because we're supposed to be here. It was somebody had to get healed, somebody had to forgive someone so that you can move on. And forgiving him helped me move on with my life.
This is good. This
Yeah.
is good.
powerful.
Christy, so I guess for you is when he just took off and said he was going with the other woman. Is that when the divorce happened?
Yeah, he drove off in our new car. But you know, like I said, I jumped right into that other relationship, and there was a time when the codependency, and for me, codependency was a little bit of, you know, being driven by the other person, but always needing to fix them, always needing to make them better. You know, it wasn't just my mood was affected, but I had a responsibility to resolve everything. And that happened with my second marriage until I was drained. And I said one day, I don't love you anymore. And we split. We're together today only by the grace of God. And it's completely different.
Completely different. Glenda, when was the factor for you to say, you know what, we got to go our own ways, we got to divorce? What was that moment for you? Are you there with us still? Did we lose you?
I'm just talking with the mute on. And you know, I had kind of previously told you a little bit. You know, things had just gotten really had gotten really physical. But you know, the thing is that I tried to hold on because I was embarrassed. You know, I felt like a failure. And the thing is that I knew that it was not about saving face at that point. It was beyond a saving face. And it was about, you know, doing what was right for everybody involved. And I said that previously that, you know, I had to come to grips with the fact that I may never have gotten an apology. And back in March, I had COVID really bad and was hospitalized. And I got a phone call from him. It's funny how, you know, when people fear for your life, I got a phone call from him and he apologized. You know, and I really did appreciate that. It was sincere. And so I did get an apology.
You know, there was a young lady I admire. I mean, we're good friends. And so she was in this relationship and I just like, oh, you guys are going to get married. I said, hey, we hadn't talked in a while. And I said, hey, how are you guys doing? Did he put a ring on it? She said, oh, girl, no, we're not together. So, of course, I'm thinking, okay, he broke up with her because she's just like a catch. I said, so did he break up with you, girl? And she's like, no, And I broke up with him. I said, what? She said, yeah, we could have been married. I could have been married, had the children and all that, you know, the fantasy world and everything, because I'm in my 30s now. She said, but that wouldn't have been, you know, the right thing. I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, he was everything, you know, I had dreamed about, prayed for and everything, but the Lord said no. I said, the Lord said no. And she said, the Lord said no. And I told him, and I couldn't understand it. And people were just like, girl, you tripping. You guys look good together. She said, but I had to follow the Holy Spirit. And I said, oh, okay. I respect that. And I said, so are you guys friends now at least? Or how's that looking? She said, girl, no, I don't talk to him. I said, what happened? And she said, well, come to find out, when I broke up with him about 2 weeks later, he started being verbally abusive to me and calling me out of my names. And I had to go to therapy because how he was treating me. And I was just like, wow, how many of us women have missed the voice of the Lord and the Holy Spirit? Can you imagine if she had went with it because our friends was like, girl, he's a catch. He is so good. But the Holy Spirit knew who he really was when you were not looking. So I asked this question, can you share some tips, ladies? Here, women going into a marriage seeking, like they really want to be married. They want their ring, a marriage seeking relationship. But at the same time to say never settle, because you hear that I'm getting older, I'm getting into my 40s, I haven't had the children yet, I haven't, you know, what's going on? Oh, well, he's okay. And I've heard this saying, it's better to have a piece of man than no man. I just think that's just so horrible. I want you guys to answer this in 2 minutes because we are starting to run out of time. And I want you guys to get a chance to share with the audience what you guys are doing and how they can connect with you. 2 minutes, Gwen. How about that question? Can you share tips for women who are going into marriage-seeking relationships?
Okay, so I think the first thing I did say earlier is that I feel it's very important to find out your love language.
Mhm.
And it's important to know his love language.
Yeah.
And you need to be on the same page with each other. You need to talk about what you expect from a marriage, allow him to talk about what he's looking for, and then move from there. And then the other most important thing to me is for women to recognize, listen to what a man says. If he says, man, you look good today, say thank you. He didn't ask you to marry him. He didn't ask you to go on a date. He didn't say he want to get with you. He said, you look good today. And your response is simply, thank you. And move on.
Good. Glenda, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Do you remember the question?
Don't sell yourself short. Really. I mean, even lately, I felt myself feeling a little antsy. Like, Lord, it's been a while, sometimes. No, really. Come on, I'm just keeping it real. But I value myself. I value myself, and I value my relationship with God way too much to go backwards at this point in my life. Bishop Gary McIntosh, when we were in pastor's training, he said, your friendship and your circles should be people who are at your level or a little bit above where you're at. And I would say in a relationship, it should be the same way. You don't want a man. I don't want to train no man. I don't want to raise no man. I don't want to do any of that. None of that. Look, I'm working on my own credit report and all of that stuff right now. So I don't want a man at this point at 56 years old. I don't want a man with a bad credit report and somebody that I got to train him how to do things or how to teach him how to move about in the things of God. I want somebody who is seasoned in that area. Perfect? No, ain't none of us perfect. I'm not perfect, but don't sell yourself short.
So what we got from there,
18 from 28.
From Glenda, she said, make sure your credit point is 700 and above. So that's what we got. That's what we got, 700 and above. You better have some good credit report. Judea, what do you say to some women who are seeking the marriage?
I'm with the don't settle thing. Like if you know that you have some non-negotiables and you're like, I'm an adventurous person. I cannot be a person that just doesn't travel. And I like this and I love God. If you're a believer, you need to have a believer. That's a non-negotiable. It's on the top of the list. And knowing someone that's going to feed that energy into you so you can be the best person that you can be. That's my tips for women. That person's going to make you the best person you can be. Of course, a believer, but that feeds in those other sides of you. You have a lot more in common. You need to have things in common so you can do more things together and you can build upon one another's love languages. Know that. Okay.
Wow.
I'm done with that.
Yes. You, Miss Kati.
Okay, so I'm gonna try. I got a 3-point
message
right here. Okay, so number 1 is do your work. Okay, so this is coming from. I get to say this because I am a therapist.
Yes, good.
You must ensure that you are healing from past trauma. Do your work. Number 2, watch all your relationships. The key to getting to that relationship is to be in good relationships all the way around you. At work, with your friends, with your coworkers, wherever, at the church house. Make sure that you are somebody that is in good relationships. Number 3, and this is the key is that you must be clear about what it is you want in a mate. And I mean, write it down, make a list and write down the things. And this is what my coach works with me on. Write down the things that are not a negotiable. Like, I'm not sorry if you cuss and I don't want that, then that's something, it may seem small, but that is something that is a deal breaker for you. So be very clear about those things.
That's good. And you answered the question for Erilyn Smith, which that asked, why do we as women think that we always did something wrong? And you hit it right there on the points that you need to seek and understand your trauma.
Yes.
Because once you are healed and not trauma, you won't feel like you did something wrong. You are healed. So basically, come healed first in the relationship.
Not perfect,
but healed in those fragment areas. Miss Christie.
Sure. So I'm going to just say sometimes our lists are wrong. Sometimes we don't know what's livable, and God does. So stay in tune with the Holy Spirit. And the other thing I'm going to say is men are people too. They are not fish to catch and fry up in our special recipe. They are people. Be friends with everybody around you and watch them and how they treat their relationships, how they treat the waitress, how they treat people. Get to know what they're interested in. Be curious. Curiosity is attractive. And then God will show you the person. That person isn't going to ride in and suddenly you're going to be swept away by his gorgeous hair. You're going to know the person because you've already seen them in action.
Yes. And before we end, these incredible women are doing some awesome, amazing things in the community. Christy, you are launching another anthology book, but this is for women who have been divorced. Do share about that for those who are interested in being part of her anthology book.
Miss Gwen hit on it right there earlier when she said churches don't have what they need to help people go through divorce. And people are going to go through it. And so they're going to get some secular book that points them in a direction that's going to leave them empty, or they're going to have the church behind them, the body of Christ, lifting them up and understanding how to interact with them. And so that's what this anthology is for. This anthology is a devotional called the 3 a.m. book for when divorce keeps you up all night. And it's stories by these kinds of women, real life women and men, because men feel divorce very strongly, and stories of how they recovered, what God showed them and did through them. And we're actually going to put together a group study so that churches can offer this kind of thing.
That's wonderful. That's good. So listen, it's not only for women, it's for men too.
Yes.
If you've been divorced and you want to share your story and be part of this amazing anthology book, I tell you, please connect with Christy. How can one connect with you?
Absolutely. So you can message me on social media at 1 Moment Wiser. That's the number 1 Moment Wiser. Or just send me an email to info@onemomentwiser.com. And you're exactly right. Men are people too. And if we don't understand how the opposite sex experiences divorce, we don't understand how to relate to them, and we treat them callously. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Miss Katis, how can one follow you and if they want your services?
Yeah, so I am on all LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You can type in my name, Cantie, Cantiese, Burrell, Burrell, and find me. You can personal message me to follow my daily post. It's called Daily Dose of Power. So you can look at that and get inspired and get feel empowered. But you can reach out to me. I also am going to be speaking about empowerment at a Women Helping Other Women event this coming September 11th. It's from 11 to 1 at the Tulsa County Library, and it's called Reignite. If you're ready to refresh yourself and get recharged for the rest of the year, definitely come out to that, and it is free.
Yeah, good. Miss Gwen, she has a restaurant here. So if you guys like some good old soul food, Miss Gwen is the person you need to connect with. So how can one connect to you if they want to get some of that food?
Okay, so I'm on Facebook under Fanny's Soul Food Chicago Style. So you can reach me there. And I'm okay with giving you my phone number, and that's 773-658-7815. This has been a great experience for me. I'm in the process of writing a book about divorce. So I feel like these connections that I'm getting here are very powerful.
That's good. Good. And Miss Proverbs 31 lady, Glenda, how can one connect with you if they want some of your graphic service? If you guys saw that my flyer, she does all my flyers. She does a really great job. She really takes her time and think them through. So if you want a graphic designer, she's the girl. So hey, she has great prices too for it. So please, how can one connect with you for graphic designs and other works that you do in your jewelry?
For graphic design, and actually you can kind of hook through with everything else. I am on Facebook. It's P31WE LLC Graphic Design and Event Planning. So it's just the Facebook and then the /P31WE. My phone number is area code 937-607-7250. And I can tell you just about other services that are available, even including jewelry.
Yes. Well, I thank you, ladies, for joining us. And for our listeners out there, you can catch us on the rebroadcast, KBOB 89.9. We do have a YouTube page, so please like the YouTube page, like our Real Life Real Talk, KBOB 89 FM, 89.9 FM on Facebook, Real Life Real Talk. Please like the page, share this show. This was really great. One person said they thoroughly enjoyed the show. Also, for those who have not purchased my book, Cards of Life, Finding Your Winning Hand, I have a nonprofit where I am just so blessed to work with incredible, amazing teen girls and young adult ladies. Basically, this is finding their voice, sharing their truth. And this is a price of $20 on Amazon. We have Miss Gwen's granddaughter who's in this and who's just a booming entrepreneur. The Cards of Life on Amazon, you can purchase for a low price of $20. Just know when you do purchase it, the proceeds goes back to Soaring Eagles for me and my husband to continue to do the work that we're doing here in Tulsa. Sorry about that, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so I'm going to leave you here with this. Oh, and before I leave out, we have a great show next week. And that is, you don't want to miss out on another great new installment of Real Life Real Talk, in which we're titling it, You Are Not Alone. You Matter, Suicide Prevention Week next week. So I don't know if you guys know, we're going to be talking about the Suicide Prevention Week. We have some incredible suicide survivors coming on to share their stories. So that will be next week, September 9th, where we get the real life view of suicide survivors. Again, here on KBOB 89.9 FM from 2 to 3:30 p.m. We thank you guys, our VIP guests, for joining us, sharing your truth, being authentic, and this has been amazing. I thought this was just a perfect song to end with, Irreplaceable. Like, hey, you know what? It's time for you to go to the left, right? You got to go. Well, this has been great. This has been amazing. So we're ending with my girl Beyonce, Irreplaceable. You're listening here to Real Life Real Talk, KBOB 89.9 FM. Peace and blessings.
Hurry up before your taxi leaves. Standing in the front yard, telling me how I'm such a fool. Talking about I'll never ever find a man like you. That need to stay. You must not know about me. You must not know about me. I could have another you in a minute. Matter of fact, he'll be here in a minute, baby. You must not know about me.